fly. Hey everybody, Meredith Oliver here. Welcome to the September 1st, 2020 Virtual Builder Town Hall, where home builders and our industry leaders in the home building industry come together. We connect, we brainstorm, we problem solve, and we mostly drink tequila. At least we do this month because our very special guest, Jay Baer, is a tequila aficionado. Now, Jay and I go back sometime through the National Speakers Association. I'll share more of that history in a bit, but the thing that's so amazing about Jay is when you send him a random email or text and say, hey, will you be a guest on my home builder virtual town hall, of which he's not in our industry or whatever, in about 2 seconds, he replies, sure, no problem. And that's at 11 Zooms a day. So that's pretty cool, Jay Baer.
My pleasure. And it's not entirely true that I'm not in the industry. One of our largest clients is a home builder. So I am definitely involved in the industry at some level. Certainly not like you, but I am delighted to be here as always. Any chance to spend time with you, I will take without hesitation.
That's very cool. I did not know that you guys were working in the industry. Well,
yeah,
we are glad that you have been here for quite a while. That's fantastic. All right, so I generally start off our meetings by giving a little update on digital web trends and traffic. I don't know about you guys, but what we are seeing is it continues to be off the flipping chart for housing, website, traffic, leads, and hopefully sales. So everybody, if you right now get to your chat box, I want to hear it. Are you on fire with your July sales? Where did your July sales end up? Did they end up on fire? Did they end up on pace? Did they end up almost made it? Or did they end up flat? Let's hear from you now. I've got Jenny in California is on fire. Lindsay in Birmingham is off the charts. Dallas is on fire. Noemi Birmingham is strong. Sarah on fire. Nice. Keep it on. Bring on the firefighters. Good one, Kerry. Off the charts, right? Web. Oh, Kevin McNulty, Lifestyle Homes is in the house. Welcome, Chesapeake, Virginia, off the charts. John. McKay Homes off the charts. Oh my word, Blazing Inferno. And you guys all showed up anyway. So here's the thing, Jay, I shamed them. I put out a video last week in our Facebook group. By the way, if you aren't a member of Builder Town Hall on Facebook, our private Facebook group, you need to be. Ange will put the link in the comments for you to join, and I will approve you. Industry leaders only, please. So anyway, Jay, I put out a video shaming them, saying don't be that guy or girl that's too busy to take time to get better. Because we did that in 06. We were so good. We were so good. We tripled all our prices. We had RV lines out of people camping out overnight to reserve their home sites. It was so good until it wasn't.
Yep.
And then it completely collapsed and some of us lost everything and started over. So let's not do that again. So I appreciate you guys all being here, even though you are on fire and doing great. We are so happy to hear that. Okay, so the reason I invited you was, well, there's a lot of great reasons, but I got an email from you 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I think, time flies, and it said, the subject line was, what questions are your customers asking? And it was a story about you getting a haircut.
Yes.
And I thought, oh my God, I don't know why, but I can't help it. I always think home builder everything because it's baked in. And so I thought, home builder, model homes, questions people are asking. This is interesting. One of the things I've always admired about you is you think of things first and you articulate them better than the rest of us who are trying to think of them but haven't solidified the thought, much less articulated it yet. And so when you wrote that, it's like, yeah, we need to talk about that. So tell everybody else what that email was about and this whole concept of the new questions your customers are asking.
Well, thank you, first of all. I've been doing this a long time. I am deceptively youthful looking. It's the soft lights. And I've never in my whole career seen a time like now where market share is shifting this dramatically. See, market share doesn't typically shift in good times. Market share shifts dramatically in bad times, uncertain times, and that's certainly where we're at right now. 54% of consumers have made a purchase from a business for the very first time since March. Somebody they've never given money to before. Now they are. And 89% of those customers say that they plan to stay with this new provider. You have to not only keep the customers you've already earned, but now really get yourself out there in the mix to acquire new customers, because people are making fundamentally different buying decisions than they were just a few months ago. Question then becomes, great, Jay, how do we do that? Well, right now, we have what I like to call incredible information asymmetry. Meaning that you know way more about your business than your customers know. And that's always sort of true, but now it is totally true. Informationally, right now, every business is a startup. You have to literally act like a startup, because nobody knows nothing about nothing right now. They don't know nothing about nothing.
You know.
I'll tell you a story. First, on my podcast, I had recently on the show Lori Meacham, and Lori's the head of social media customer service for JetBlue Airlines. And she told me that they were looking at their analytics and found a search term that they had never seen before. And I said, Lori, that's can't be true. You guys have been around for a while. You have a whole digital team. How could there possibly be a search term that you just discovered? Search term was, are airlines still in business? Are airlines still in business? That was not a search you would have typed into Google in January. And now so many people are that it actually should have as a trend for them. But in every business, this information asymmetry exists. Even in businesses where you think that there isn't this certainty gap. I got a haircut a couple months ago. It's my first haircut since the pandemic.
Yeah.
I am a 50-year-old man. I have had approximately 600 haircuts, 50 times 12. I felt like I had a good handle on how haircuts work. Turns out, no. I had to successfully get answered approximately 16 questions to get a haircut. Questions like, is the haircut place still open? Does the woman who cut my hair at that place still work there? Are the appointments the same length? Or are they longer now because they've got to sanitize in between? Do they charge the same? How do you pay them? With filthy paper currency? Or can you now pay with, Apple Pay or whatever? Do you make an appointment? Do I wear a mask? Does she wear a mask? Where do you park? Do the parking meters downtown still work? Do they still sell shampoo and gel? Because I could probably use some gel. Do I just walk in, or do I text when I'm in the neighborhood? Is there a waiting area now? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. To get a haircut. Now, I want you to think how many questions people have about buying a house. More than ever. Because they don't even know what the rules are to go to a model home.
Exactly.
Much less, they're building a house right outside that window. Not 15 feet from my finger is a home being built. I've watched it being built every day out this window. And do the subs still come on time? What happens? Does it take longer to build a house? Less? How do I do my design consultation and pick out tile? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, the very best thing you can do is to have the ultimate FAQ.
Yeah.
Drink tequila, sit down, write every question out that people have and answer them. That's the first thing you got to be doing.
And that's why I got this email from him with this list of questions about a haircut. It may have had a video in it. And I shot right back to you. Will you talk about this on the next town hall?
Well,
Because literally, if you think about something as simple as a haircut, okay, 16 questions. Imagine the questions, folks. And as somebody
200?
who,
I don't know. I'm just making
right? I know, right?
more than
So,
16.
more than 16 about buying a house. So, and as somebody who is interacting with you all day long, every day, helping you brainstorm your marketing, I can tell you a lot of you are overthinking what needs to be done right now. You want to go clever, you want to go fun. I love clever, and you know I like fun. We opened this with shots of tequila today, okay? But at the same time, logically, when I look at the digital analytics, this is why I fell in love with digital marketing. If it's clickable, it's trackable. It is the, what I call bread and butter FAQs. Is the model home open? What hours are the model home open? What did you use to sanitize the model home? Do I need to wear a mask at the model home? Can I have a private appointment? Can I have a virtual appointment? Do I have to be there with 25 other people? You know, if you were just to sit down and think about that, you would have enough content for the next year, for your social media, for your blog, for your websites, for your emails, all of it. It would be amazing. And so that's where I really saw an opportunity to talk to Jay today. Of course, there's a lot to your body of work. You know, I didn't properly. Oh, what's this?
This is what I call now the uncertainty gap.
Oh, do tell.
And it's the space between knowledge and revenue.
Ooh.
And your job as a marketer right now is to close that gap, doing exactly what you're saying, Meredith, by answering all the questions that people have. Because nobody's going to give you money, especially for a house, right, until they are certain, until those questions are addressed. And it's not just enough, though, to put it on your website. Definitely do that. For sure, you should do that, okay?
Okay.
Definitely do that. But you also need to take the key questions and push them out. Don't just rely on your potential buyers to come to your website and spelunk through your navigation until they find your FAQ and address the questions. Take the key questions and push them out in your email and in your social, right? So let's say you've got 100 questions. Take the top 10 and methodically push them out, right? So it's a push strategy, not just a pull strategy.
So this boss of mine, back in the 90s when the internet was invented, I worked for this .com company in the realtor space, and his quote was, a website is like a billboard in the Everglades, right? Without digital marketing. So we took that concept and blew it up. So if you think about a wagon wheel, this is the worst wagon wheel drawn, said anyone ever. So if your website is living here in the middle with FAQs on it and they're having to spelunk to find it, no good, no bueno.
Yep.
All of the spokes on the wheel, that's your email. There's your social media. Those are all your drivers that drive people into the hub so that your website isn't that billboard in the Everglades, folks. So what are you using to push people in, to pull and push to get the information out? Awesome. Love it.
Well, and you can take, say, I don't know, the top 30 questions and turn it into an asset. One of the things we did for our home builder client is, here's the downloadable ebook.
Nice.
31 questions and answers about buying a new home in the time of COVID-19.
Ooh.
And then you put email against it, social against it, paid social against it, search against it, and it's just top funnel lead gen.
Yeah. So I like what you're doing there. You're thinking a little bit like B2B for B2C, right? And creating that digital asset, right? All right. So even though you are dropping major knowledge bombs at this moment, we have a surprise guest for you, Jay.
Oh, great.
It is coming onto the
tequila
screen.
Maker?
No. Hello and welcome. It is indeed a Zoom-a-paca.
A Zoom-a-paca.
It is a Zoom-a-paca because Jay's book Talk Triggers features alpacas on the front cover.
Fantastic.
So coming in live from Banner Elk, North Carolina, Apple Hill Farms is today's Zoom-a-paca guest. Welcome, Zoom-a-paca. We are so glad you're here. We've had, a few meetings ago, we had a Zoom-a-llama guest, but we have never, yes, Linda Dicker, MI Homes is in the house. Yes, we have a Zoom-a-paca. And these are coming in. Have you ever been to Banner Elk, North Carolina, Jay?
I don't think so. No, but I have spent some time with alpacas for the promotions of the book launch. We
yes,
shot
you did.
Some videos with actual alpacas, and delightful, generally speaking.
Yes. Yeah.
Can be a little skittish.
Yes.
But very, very fun.
Yes. Well, Banner Elk is one of my favorite places. It is not too far from Blowing Rock, North Carolina.
You're making all this up, aren't you? None of this is
I'm
true.
not. I'm not really.
I'm gonna have to go to Google Maps.
Blowing Rock is one of these storybook places with the cute little main street and all the cute restaurants and just everything's, it's almost like Gilmore Girls was filmed there, if you will. Okay, and so if you go to Blowing Rock in October for the leaves to change, then on one particular Saturday in October, you can drive out to Banner Elk, about a half an hour away, for the Woolly Worm Festival, Jay. The Woolly Worm Festival.
I don't even know what a woolly worm is, but
they race them in Banner Elk at the Woolly Worm Festival. I have been there. They race the woolly worms. Yes. Oh, Jody, new home guide, has been to it. I'm not making this up. Am I, Jill?
It feels like a worm race would take a while. I mean, I don't know, like it's like a whole afternoon.
I know.
It's like cricket, but with worms. It takes forever.
I know, right? So yes, Kevin with Outhouse, which is an interactive floor plans, renderings company, one of our wonderful sponsors, is commenting, cool alpaca, but Jay's book color coordination is on point.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, indeed, he might be a marketer. Yeah, might be. Yes, thank you. Yes, Lynn from Enter Now. Lynn's company Enter Now, Jay, does remote entry locks so that people can self-tour.
Love it.
Which has been one of the big innovations.
On trend, definitely on trend.
Yes, that we've pivoted towards in COVID. Been a little hesitant prior to now. Some companies, not all, some, but definitely.
Look at these guys. Look at these two.
Yeah.
Look at these two guys just hanging out.
Oh, they're so cute. Oh, maybe one of them will talk to each other.
I know, look at that. And they're like a model for the book.
They're butt sniffing. That's stop.
Well,
don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Well, thank you, Apple Hill Valley Farm.
Oh my God, I gotta come. I gotta visit.
Appreciate you. I do need to take a picture before you guys hang up.
Hi, girl.
That's hysterical. All right. Thank you so much for your cameo appearance in honor of our special guest, Jay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm going to send you a book. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, let me mute the Zoom-a-paca. Oh, there we go. All right. So now I'm going to bring in two marketing rock stars from the field, straight from the trenches.
Oh, I thought they were going to be llamas. Okay, whatever.
No. I specifically asked for alpacas,
I know,
Jay. I can't. I know. I said to them.
To the detail.
Yeah. Hello.
I know. Oh, Sarah.
Hi.
Yeah. There's Sarah. Okay, good. All right. Ask to start video. Let me get. There's Lindsay. Okay.
Sarah thoughtfully dressed in the same color as my book, which I appreciate very much.
Perfect.
Lindsay, no for you, but I appreciate you spending time earlier.
I know. All right, now let me properly introduce them to everyone and to you. Okay, so Sarah is the Director of Corporate Communications and Social Media for Drees Homes. Drees is one of our national home builders across the country in multiple markets. Whoop, whoop. And then Lindsay is Director of Marketing and Online Sales for Davidson Homes. Lindsay, you're hailing out of Birmingham?
Huntsville.
What's that? Huntsville?
Huntsville.
Sorry, close. And Sarah, where are you out of today?
Northern Kentucky, so we're just outside of Cincinnati.
Perfect. Okay. So how this works, Jay, is we have a marketing mastermind group that we meet monthly via Zoom, just like this. And we have a Facebook group. And the other day, Lindsay posts in the Facebook group, I am dealing with some horrible social media comments. What should I do? And I said, volunteer to be a panelist on the next town hall with me, and you can ask the author of Hug Your Haters, what should you do? So,
okay, I'm ready.
Lindsay, take it away.
So, ironically, I was actually reading Hug Your Haters.
Thank you.
And very excited to get to ask you a couple of questions.
You disagree with the whole book, so you've gone to all this trouble to
No, exact opposite of that. Specifically just in the environment that we're in, you know, where there's several marketers and we're having the same conversation of the negativity that, you know, is happening right now. And so I guess my question after reading the book is, do you have any advice for how to hug the 2020 produced COVID haters? Because I feel like it's even more so than normal.
Yeah.
It's just escalated, and just additional tips maybe that aren't in the book of how to deal with that.
Yeah, actually, we're doing a lot of work, not only in home building, but probably our number one vertical at Convince and Convert is higher ed. We have a number of universities that we work with, 8 or 10. And one of our big projects that you heard about earlier today, Lindsay, is with the University of Arizona. We've done all the communications and marketing and rollout strategy for a COVID notification app. And we've done a great job of market research and message testing and convincing students, faculty, and staff to download this app, which helps keep campus safe, et cetera. Been great. But in these unprecedented times, there are still lots of people who, rightly or wrongly, doesn't matter, for whatever reason, doesn't matter why, refuse to sort of get into anything like that, you know, and anything that you communicate around safety is immediately a hoax or Nazism or, you know, whatever your craziness is. So here's what I suggest, Lindsay. Whereas in the Hug Your Haters book, I recommend answering every complaint in every channel every time. In these unprecedented times, I suggest a slight modification to that, which is to answer so that everybody on that thread can see it, but actually use the advice that I included in my first book, The Now Revolution, which is over the other shoulder right there. And in the Now Revolution, there's a whole section there about crisis management. And one of the keys to that is building out the ultimate FAQ, like we talked about earlier, Meredith, not just for customer certainty, but just for answering questions. And so what you do, Lindsay, is instead of you know, disagreeing or getting into it or whatever with people who are saying crazy things in social, you just say, for all the facts, click here, right? And it goes to an FAQ, ideally with a video, ideally from somebody in your C-suite, that says, here's what we're doing at Davidson and why we're doing it. Question, 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 question. And then instead of having to get into it, all you got to do is drop the link, right? It's davidson.com/COVID-19 or whatever, you know, it is. And you're just constantly pointing people back to this authoritative, comprehensive thing. Now, will some people say, I don't want to look at your video, read your FAQ, this is all a hoax? Yes, they will. And at that point, in these unprecedented times, I suggest you allow them to go about their business and hope that your audience will come to your defense when it is time to do so. And we've actually seen that with a lot of our clients, that the other customers will say, you know what, that's not really appropriate here, or that's not even on topic, right? And if you've got a strong enough community, they will do some of that community management for you. That's the best case scenario.
Nice. So in brainstorming and talking about this very topic in Mastermind Group, then Sarah spoke up and was sharing with us this amazing story. I'll set it up and then I'll let you fill out the rest of the story. So Sarah was saying, yeah, it feels like negativity on social media has escalated a bit. Although funny, sidebar, in the mastermind group, the folks that are located in the Pacific Northwest in California were like, no, our people have been this nasty the whole time. It sounded like just the Southerners were basically finding their ugly face lately. I don't know. But anyway, back to the point. So Sarah goes, yeah, it does feel like there's been some escalation, but at the same time, because I'm monitoring everything, I came across this really cool gem of a shout out, and I've been able to turn that into a campaign and capitalize on it. So Sarah, I thought that would be a cool story for you to share and talk to Jay about.
Yeah. So Jay, to your point, I do look at every single comment, every single direct message. I do respond to every single one of them. And I have a lot of trolls out there. I mean, we build in 10 metros, so we're building thousands of houses a year. Surely there's going to be some people who get frustrated with certain parts of their home building process, or after they've been in their home 18 years. I get those people. I'm like, well, you're kind of out of a warranty after 18 years.
Yeah.
But I also stumble upon some like heartwarming stories. And my most recent example caught my attention because a vendor out of Nashville called Picnic Pop-Up tagged us. I had never heard of this company, love the concept. I'm calling it right now. It's going to become a Pinterest trend. But this company basically styles very beautiful themed picnics per whatever occasion you have, whatever park, home, whatever. And one of our home builders or home buyers recently hired this company to style a pop-up picnic on their brand new home site. And they were going to use this beautiful, whimsical picnic to unveil the home site as a surprise to family and friends.
Nice.
And I thought, oh my gosh, how magical of a moment. Again, as you can imagine, other prospects will see this, and I'm pretty sure they're now too going to style a pop-up picnic on their home site. So gone are the days of just the sold lot sign for the happy home buyer photo, but now we're gonna have this big flashy picnic. So I reached out to the vendor and I was like, hey, I love the photos you tagged us in. I'd love to share them on social media because I think this is a heartwarming moment that we can really utilize as social media gold. She writes back to me, says, great, share the photos. But I can't tell you the family name due to client confidentiality, which I was like, well, I kind of have to get their permission in order to start sharing this internally through our company intranet and externally via social media. So I send it to my Nashville team. Turns out it's actually one of our market managers. So it's one of our salespeople who planned this big elaborate thing. She had worked for our company for 16 years. That is the longest relationship she's ever had in her life. So she decided to put a ring on it and went all out with this very elaborate picnic, had professional signage, you know, like sold signage that people make. But this was like in the shape of a ring, and it said like, I do to Drees Homes. So it was beautiful. We ended up sharing it on social. Everybody loved it. Everybody's commenting like, congrats, so excited for you. Very heartwarming. I'm sure everybody in the industry knows that happy homeowner photos do very well on social. Yeah. Well, that's all great. Super excited to find new content until I tweeted out and someone responds in a retweet, hang on to that picnic set. It will come in handy once your appliances break. Which I was like, come on, like haters, like why? This is such a joyous moment. Get a life.
Love that.
People are angry.
Bitter.
Yeah, they really.
Bitter.
I mean, are you finding, Jay, in monitoring the brands that you're working with, that there is an escalation in negative comments, even to brands that are doing well or doing everything right or posting something happy? I mean, are people just in a bad mood?
Yes, they are.
They
I'm
are.
not sure why though. But
Imagine.
there isn't it depends on the brand, obviously, but I would not say, based on our analytics, that there is a massive uptick in negativity as a ratio of all posts.
Okay.
But what we tend to forget is there's like a 70% increase in social media usage overall.
Sure.
So if more people are using social more often,
Yeah.
and if you have the same percentage likelihood that somebody is a jackass,
Got
at a
it.
70% increase in usage, you're going to have a 70% increase in jackass, even
Mm-hmm.
if the ratio stays the same.
Got it.
Right. So I think that's we tend to overlook that, right? Because we're in the space, but there are people spending time on social who never spent time on social,
Mm-hmm.
and people spending time on social dramatically more than they ever have. They don't have to go to commute. They're not
Right.
going to the gym. They're not, I mean, all the things they used to do with their time, now they're using that time to be on Facebook and making each other angry. So there's that's part of it, you know?
Yeah, and that's why we've attributed seeing such massive increases in our website traffic, people browsing homes. I mean, when you're looking
You got
at
nothing else to do.
Yeah, beautiful brand new model home photos, virtual tours. I mean, nothing makes you feel good like gorgeous new home photography, really.
What we're seeing, and probably
it's
some
like
of you all as well, is huge increase in top funnel, right, for home building, website visits, early stage lead gen, those kind of things. But well, most people are doing really well in home building, but you've got a much lower conversion rate. And it's because people are treating home buying sites like Pinterest. Like, I don't have money to buy a house right now, but I've got nothing else to dream about, so I'm going to dream about a house. The same reason why people are spending tons of time on travel sites too, even though they can't go anywhere, right? It's escapism. It's home porn.
And so
and that's okay, right? It's just at some point you've got to convert that interest to customers, and someday you probably will. But there's a lot more tire kickers right now.
top of the funnel.
Yeah, they're just dreaming, and that's okay. That's okay too. And maybe they'll be customers someday, which is why I would tell you that one of the things I would really put a lot of emphasis in right now is your long-term lead nurture, right? Is how do you take these dreamers and keep them on the hook until they do have the money, the job, the life stage, the whatever to buy a home? Because right now they may just be like, someday I'm going to have that kitchen. You know,
I'm going to send you your check later, Jay. This is what I have been preaching, like our last 3 meetings.
We did not plan this.
We did not plan this. Our last meeting, you guys, if you did not watch that video, we talked about the last 2 actually has all been lead conversion, funnel, the whole piece. Like because you've got this avalanche. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Now, to your point, one thing we found that's working the best, and Lindsay, Sarah, let me know what you guys, if you guys are doing either of these things, but Jay, we're encouraging our model homes, even though they are open for people to stop by in an appropriately social distanced way, whatever the local rules are for that locale, we're really on all digital, we're saying appointment, by appointment.
Yeah.
And that conversion rate is what's weeding out all this massive top of the funnel. And then our by appointment numbers are actually quite good. And once we set them, most of our clients are looking at a 90% show up rate, and then a 30 to 40 or better percent. McKay Homes is on here with a 60% conversion rate on those in-person appointments.
Incredible.
It's incredible. So that is the filter, you guys, and we've been talking about this, that yes, you've got so much happening. So what's the top of the funnel strategy to get them to the middle to where those appointments, your OSC, online sales counselor, can kick in, right, Mike Lyon, and do the work. So Sarah, Lindsay, what are you guys doing with that, in that? Anything to add in there?
Yeah, I
would
think,
agree.
you know, go ahead,
Sorry,
Sarah.
go ahead.
Lindsay, go
No,
ahead.
I agree. I agree with all of that. I think that we've spent a lot of time over the last few months developing things to make our OSCs as effective as possible too, because of what we were experiencing, and making sure that we were set up for success as we were working through some of this. So everything that you said, I feel like that's kind of what we've been working on to make sure that, you know, we could handle it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Sarah? What are you guys doing?
I would definitely second that point that you said, that especially in the beginning, the people who were showing up for private appointments were converting. Like the majority were converting, because I guess in the beginning you were only going to leave your home if you were absolutely serious you were going to make a move on this house purchase.
Yeah.
We have 4 new home specialists, which are online sales counselors. And we've actually grew our team to add additional assistants for them, because they are so busy, like working every single day, every hour of the day. So they definitely have their hands full. But without a doubt, like you said, all digital traffic is up. And even prior to COVID, like Facebook has become our #1 driver to dreeshomes.com. So we're putting even more dollars into Facebook, even more organic content. And it's not just like, here's a community, buy now, or here's a new model, check it out. We're doing a lot of thought leadership content about trends that you're seeing through COVID.
Nice.
We did a back to school built-in home solutions article that kind of talks about, like, now that we're all in this new norm, how do you set your house up for success, for working from home, for homeschooling? Do you need a pocket office? Do you need a homeschool space? Do you need 2 dual work at home studio spaces? Like, what is it? Here are all the options we provide.
Mostly need a wine cellar is what I've been able to determine.
Yeah, we have
my
those
list.
too.
Pretty
Yeah.
much the #1 priority.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that plays into, like, Jay's point that it's kind of a long-term funnel process. So maybe those thought leadership nuggets that we're kind of sprinkling through our content calendar will continue to drive home the message that you need a new Drees home. Here's how we can solve all your lifestyle issues and bring your vision to life. So we're doing a lot of that on top of, like, paid. So it's not just driven to a direct conversion right away. We're kind of feeding into this aspirational lifestyle. And then to touch on a point Jay said earlier as well, people aren't just spiking on during lunch and spiking on in the evening. Our social media on times are like this, with slight uptick at the end of the
It's not
day,
like your
but like,
boss is going to say, get off Facebook. You're working. from
right.
home.
So
on
it is
Facebook right now.
literally now
During
kind
the
of like
show.
this till the very end of the evening, where before it would be peaks and
Right.
valleys throughout the day. So I think it's more important than ever to have a steady drumbeat of content out there for people to consume. So we're just trying to keep up. I mean, we have like 15 communities in 10 different metros. So it's a lot of content to get out there to make sure we customize it per city. But we're just trying to keep up with the pace and the demand and answering all the questions people may have. And to your point too, I think people who are commenting are like, wow, I wish I had the money to build that. You know, like it's kind of heartbreaking, but like, I don't delete those or anything. Like, we're making no apologies that our homes cost XYZ. Like, they may fall into a certain bracket, but at least that tells me, like, we adore your home.
Right.
And we're going to keep working until we can, like, achieve that certain style.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because you've got all these people who are out of work or underemployed in some way. And then you have the equities market setting records, you know, every week. So you have this
Yeah.
like weird, like reverse bell curve, right? You've got like
Mhm.
tons of people who are really struggling, and then tons of people who are sitting on tons of equity, like just, you know, and I think you're going to continue to see more real estate acceleration, at least for the next 3 months, because there's still some fear, and I think it's not misplaced, that if there is a Democratic wave in this election, that capital gains taxes are going to get adjusted dramatically, and then everybody is going to take all their money out of the market and put it into a different asset class, i.e. real estate. So I think, you know, things are going to get real good here for a while, and then they could get a little sketchy. We'll just have to see what happens. But that's the challenge with real estate, right? That's, you know,
Yeah.
I'm from Phoenix, right? So I know of real estate cycles.
Yeah, and that was one of our biggest surprises on March the 12th, when everything pretty much came to the stop that it came to, and the world freaked out, and we all went, okay. You know, and then the rest of March was either flat or really down. But then April, it just started climbing, and it started climbing. And those of us that had been through the 06, 08 cycle of the incredible wave and all the money we made, and then all the money we lost, you know, we were having flashback moments, and that's how the town hall was really born. We had our first one by March the 17th, because I knew we were all freaking out, and we had to like come together and figure it out together. But it continued to increase, and we frequently talk about, all of you that are listening, really, there is true that with politics, and without favoring a side or offending anyone, I just hope you'll listen to me, that there are perceptions about various parties, and if they're good for business, pro-business, not pro-business, this, that, the other, depending on what happens, exactly 50% of the country is shocked, dismayed, and devastated. And you need to sell homes to both halves. So you have to prepare yourself that depending on what happens, the perception of it's a good time to buy a home, consumer confidence, that tends to shift. This will be my 4th 4-year election cycle. And I promise you, every presidential election cycle in this industry, it tightens. Everybody puckers for about 30 days, and then they get over it. Now, whether COVID is going to outweigh the typical pucker, I don't know yet. That's what's interesting about this year. Nothing is normal, right? We've gotten a really good question in from Tina. This is Tina at Landon Homes in Dallas, Texas. She asked Jay, at the beginning you talked about keeping customers you've earned.
Yeah.
We are seeing an increase in negative reviews from customers that are already contracted, that are already in the build process. Yikes. What is your advice for handling customers under contract and social negative reviews and comments with those folks?
Yeah, well, I guess I would look at it 2 ways. One, usually, and I talk about this in the Hug Your Haters book, Lindsay may remember, I mean, usually where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So there's not usually a lot of reviews or negativity that are just fake, right? If it's on topic, right? If it's like COVID, you know, there's somebody just like, you know, man shouts at cloud, a different story. But when it's about your business, usually where there's some smoke, there's fire. So my first question I would ask you, Tina, is what are these complaints about? And is there a scintilla of truth in those complaints? I would argue there probably is. So you may have some sort of operational issue that you may want to address. Because I'll tell you something that will scare you. This has been proven academically over and over and over. For every 100 unhappy customers, only 5 will complain. Only 5.
Oh. Ew.
And that's across the totality of contact mechanisms.
Oh,
Right?
that's not good.
That's phone, email, social, skywriting, hostage note, that's all of them. Which means for everybody who's like, hey, Tina, we're not happy with the build process, you know, 49 others, or whatever the number is on that, are like, yeah, I don't like it either, I just won't tell you. What we are seeing though, and I haven't retested this yet, but that, to your point earlier, Meredith, that's where I think we are seeing an uptick. I think we're seeing that ratio go up. So it's not as if you have a greater number of dissatisfied customers per se, but instead of 5 out of 100, I argue that it's more like 10 to 20 out of 100 are actually expressing dissatisfaction. And I think there's 2 reasons for that. Again, I do not have data on this, so this is just Jay riffing based on my own experiences. 2 reasons why I think this is true. 1, because people are spending so much more time online, it is, and I have tested this, manifestly easier to express your displeasure online than any other way. You don't have to have the social friction of being on the phone. Even email creates a little bit of social friction. Certainly face-to-face creates enormous social friction. Everybody is aggrieved on their phone, right? And, and so it's easier to complain. We've got more people spending time online. And then the second thing that's happening is you have a demographic shift. Younger Americans will not stand for it. They're not here for it. My kids will complain about stuff that I'd be like, whatever, man, there's not enough ice in your drink. You'll live. Cavemen did worse things. But, anything that's like slightly out of bounds, they're like, how dare they? And they speak out. And so I think there is a demographic difference that is starting to manifest in a lot of industries. So I think those 2 things. So to get back to Tina's question, first, I would say, hey, is there a pattern of complaint here that really indicates an operational challenge? Lock that down, right? Fix that problem. Then the second issue is there a particular place where these complaints are occurring? And why is it? Why are they steering complaints to here versus here? I would check on that. And then I would say, where in the process from a time perspective, let's say it's taken you 5 months to build, are most people complaining at 7 weeks, 11 weeks? What's the number? And then take whatever that time horizon is, where the sweet spot of complaint is, and then build a concierge program. So you are taking a GM, a foreman, whatever, and placing super duper, even extra special one-on-one calls a week before that sweet spot to be able to pick out those objections before they go public. That's how I do it.
Nice. All right.
Again, that's real-time consulting, which is the worst kind of consulting to do.
Right.
But, the best I can do.
Right.
Meredith?
Yes.
Can I piggyback on Jay's comment real quick?
You can, yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna, before you do that, just 1 second. I'm gonna say goodbye to Lindsay and to Sarah.
Oh, come on.
Thank you guys so much for your contributions.
I'm trading Lindsay and Sarah in for Matt. This show's ridiculous.
I know, right? I know.
It's a bad trade, Jay.
I know. So thank you guys so much for your contributions and for joining us. And Matt, before you piggyback, I do want to, while you guys get situated and get ready for our next round of discussions, I do have a very exciting announcement. Woohoo! I have shared my screen and I would love all of you to save the date, November the 10th. November the 10th, Meredith Communications is presenting the Home Builder Growth Summit. It's our very first event that we're producing all by ourselves. Woohoo! It is a virtual 1-day event, and we're gonna bring you all kinds of awesome information to help you grow your leads, grow your sales, grow your career, and grow your mindset all in one amazing virtual, straight to your home office cubicle or dining room table day. So for now, just save the date, November 10th. There'll be more coming out soon. So now I want to introduce our rock star panel of Kerry Mulcrone, Kerry & Co., straight from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Woo.
Kerry is a sales trainer in the new home building industry extraordinaire. Woo! We've got Matt Riley, Vice President of Group 2 Advertising, and we are thrilled. He's hailing right here out of Raleigh, North Carolina with me, but your home office is out of
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. I knew I had the wrong P. Okay, and we have Angela McKay of ECI Lasso, CRM, hailing from Vancouver, Canada. Yay. Yeah. So this is our Rockstar panel. They join us towards the end of every town hall.
Man, I'm fired up.
Right. Where they weigh in with their cheers. So their assignment today
This is
was
empty.
I know.
Look
Their
at what
assignment
kids are
Oh,
doing.
Matt, you're gonna be
My water's not.
and
On
the
with
health
Zoom.
one, that Angela. So our
Nice.
their assignment today, Jay, was to listen very closely to the information you presented, and they were to come up each with a to-do, not an aha. Oh no, that would be too ordinary. Today they were to come up with a to-do from today's information. But first,
Wait,
Matt,
am I supposed to do this? Because this feels like work for me. Am I supposed to? Is it just for me to do?
No. These three have to come up with a to-do from
I thought they were giving me
you.
assignments. I'm like, what kind of show is this?
Yeah, it's the one where I'm super bossy. They're used to it, Jay. You're
So
gonna
all
have to
the
get
shows
used
that you
to
do, I got it. It's fine.
Okay, Matt, you had a segue thought first, though, please.
Yeah, but just coming right in behind what Jay was saying, this is a really good opportunity for home builders to dial in that team member that is in charge of customer satisfaction. Because from a home builder perspective, when you start to see those constant or consistent complaints, bad surveys coming in, especially where we are right now, and with supply shortage issues and supply chain problems, but from years and years of personally selling homes and the model homes first, it all starts in the home buying process with the expectations that you set with your homeowner at the time of contract, and then making sure that we stay in front of your prospect, your buyer, your customer now, every single week, staying out in front of the conversation. Even if it's a hard conversation, it's better coming from you. If you're going to hear something bad about me, I'd rather you hear it from me, kind of thing, right? And so staying out in front of it. So set the expectation up front of what you can expect from me and when you can expect it, and then continue that process with weekly updates along the way. And if your sales team is too buried in the minutia of new prospects, new sales, then you have to put someone in charge of it. Otherwise, you're going to get too far out in front of your skis, and you're going to damage your brand reputation down the road.
You know what nobody wants in the middle of a pandemic?
what?
Surprises.
Yeah. I mean, as we were building this house last year, our salesperson did an amazing job. Every Friday, I got an email with pictures of what was happening, or I got an email, hey, nothing happened this week, but here's what will happen next week if the weather permits, and I always was really in the loop and felt well informed. Carrie, you go.
I'm going to go first, but I'm going to piggyback on what you just said on how viral news goes. Is that you got it on Friday, sometime in the morning, early afternoon, and then I got it from you later Friday or Friday evening. That is
True that.
So, that just think of that. So yes, because I want to go first, because I don't want Matt or Angela to feel like to do.
Steal your idea? Well, way to go.
Yeah. Okay. What is your to-do from today? What's on your list?
Is hilarious, because if they're on this call, we did this, Jay, because I took the book and I sent it on to everybody. I got somebody that called me today because they had a hater plus. And I sent them the link and said, go hug them, but first go read this book so you hug appropriately.
Thank you.
And here's what the to-do is. Everybody's are different. So we're talking about facts, frequently asked questions, right? They're different for everybody. So what I want people to do is go start tracking and measuring and managing your particular most frequently asked questions. And Matt's point, cut them off at the pass early on. And you know how everybody works off pathways in our process. In case you might encounter this experience or have this question, we're including with our upfront sales process our most frequently asked questions, so that when you stumble upon this feeling or this thought, here will be your answer. You won't have to necessarily always get the answer. Our people say it best, our customers say it best, and keep it in real time. Don't do dumb, long 5-year ago questions. Like, have someone managing that like, that was a good question. It moves in real time to your facts.
So, and how does this information that's being gathered, I imagine it needs to land somewhere. Oh, I don't know, like a central repository, like, oh, maybe our CRM system.
Your CRM. Well, you know what? I'm hanging on to Jay's words about the long-term lead nurturing, right? I mean, that is what's happening right now, as we know, is that low-hanging fruit, and you know, which is great because there's sales happening. But what's happening to those long-term, 1-year out purchasers? And so I challenge everyone, and I ask everyone to really look, develop, redesign that strategy for that the long-term buyer, and align that strategy. And looking at, Jay, in your book with Top Triggers, you talk about 5 types of triggers. So empathy, usefulness, generosity, speed, and attitude. So when you're developing that strategy, think about those 5 triggers.
Nice.
There we go.
Bonus points for working in book content. Look
There
at
we go.
One thing
you.
to do on Kerry's point, one thing to think about is on your website, if you've got a page that answers a particular question, at the bottom of the page, list the other related questions, right? As a link, like in the copy. So one of the things we do a lot with our clients is help them with next best action. Somebody finishes reading this page. What do you want them to do now? Well, probably the best thing they could do is now get this other question answered, because typically questions are best answered in a defined sequence. And so just put a link to the question, which then goes to another page, answers that question, right? So you're taking them sort of on a guided journey of information, as opposed to the way most websites are structured, which is like, here's a bunch of books that we scattered around the floor, figure it out.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
I
good.
hadn't.
Can
I wrote that down. Next best action.
And
Hadn't really
if
thought about that. I like that.
that's a great, I love that idea. But and
that's
also,
my to-do.
if your prospect is answering a question, when you respond to them, make reference and personalize the message based on the response.
Yes.
That sometimes is is missed.
Yes, it is. Matt?
Go. Wait, I'm going to go. I'm doing one thing. I'm jumping on Matt for 1 second. I'm going to get back on tequila. The thing is that yes, the to-do, but then also the aha has to be the fact that what we all say is that if you've got your most frequently asked objections that are in your models, right? Put them in your presentation, because then they don't get to ask you something that's wrong. You've pre-planted it. These questions that you're talking about actually puts you in the front seat and your buyer in the back seat. Done. Go, Matt.
Kerry, I would call that a to-don't.
Ah! Da!
Nice.
Yeah.
Matt, what is your to-do?
So I did, my top to do was the focuses we talked about. We actually did a podcast on this like a week ago about what we're doing with long-term lead follow-up, nurturing, things like that, because there's a lot of us builders only have the time to focus on the people who are 30 to 60 days out, right? So what's happening with all these other top of the funnel versus just bottom of the funnel? So obviously that's a huge one. But we've got to, my favorite quote was prepare for more jackass. We have to prepare for more jackass. But to prepare for more jackass leading into the actual to-do is have you identified and actually put out there what are the rules? Like you said at the very beginning, Jay, what are the rules to get a haircut? Like, what are the rules to do business with you? And that was one of the things that we talked about when the pandemic first hit was people were like, is a builder open?
Right.
Are you actually able to buy a home right now? And I think that, you know, we've been in this now for 6 months as an industry. Obviously everyone has, but as an industry, we fall right into that, well, everyone knows how to do business with us. They know the rules because we've been talking about it over and over again. And we forget conveniently that in home buying, the typical buying cycle is 8 to 12 weeks. So every 8 to 12 weeks, we've got a cycle of all new people that don't know anything. And, you know, as marketers, we're always like to refresh and create new content all the time, new content. But the reality of it is we can come back and reuse and recirculate that because every 8 to 12 weeks, we have a new cycle of buyers coming in. So we have to, A, do you even know what the hell the rules are? And B, have you articulated them out? And C, have you actually put them out in a place where the buyer can find them and make it helpful?
Not to mention the fact your buying cycle, just set the pandemic aside, is typically so infrequent. You know, there are certainly people who you know, move and buy, and you know, they're fairly active home buyers, but most people are not. Like, it's no joke. Like, you've got a meaningful number of customers who the last time they bought a new home was before the internet, much less before COVID, right? So, like, to assume that they know how to buy from you is crazy because they don't.
Yeah. So the way that we always wrap up town hall as we bring everything together is we always bring it back to purpose and heart and mission. And
it sounds like a section devoted to feelings, which is usually when I just leave the meeting, but that's okay.
I know, that's okay. I've got you, Jay.
Hang up, Jay. I hang up early.
I've got you covered here. So this might hopefully this might embarrass Jay a little bit, but only in a good way, I promise. So Kerry and Angela know this story as two of my dear, both professional and personal friends, but the whole of the Builder Town Hall does not know this story, and I don't know that Jay knows it either, so we're going to share it now. So here's what I've learned from Jay Baer. A couple of things. First of all, is you can never be too successful to be helpful to somebody else. And so in him accepting and making time for this today among 11 other Zoom calls, that's only one example. You see, 3 or 4 years ago now, Jay, we were at a keynote speaker boot camp together.
I remember in Colorado.
Yes. Yes. It did not go well for me. I had a rough time. And it's interesting, those of you that are listening in, the organizers of the event actually reached out to me and invited me to come because they were like, Jay Baer is going to be there and you're in marketing and he's in marketing. It would probably be good for you to get to know him. And I'm like, well, we've met a couple times, but I wouldn't, you know, we know each other casually through National Speakers Association, whatever, but okay. So I said, yeah, sure, that'll be fine. Well, I get to speaker boot camp, you guys, and I freak out. Uncharacteristic of me, and I don't know that in all.
I don't know what I would say freak out, but yeah.
Jay, no, it was.
It
was bad. Okay, it was really bad. I freak out. I get really, really, really nervous. You guys, I can only think of 2 other occasions in my nearly 20 years on stage in front of all of you as I've grown up in the industry that I've done this poorly. But indeed, it was bad. You see, I had to do, all of us in the boot camp had to do a 10-minute demo. Matt, this was brutal. 10 minutes of your best material for a room full of international keynote speakers that are all way better than you, and 3 instructors who are all way better than you. So as time went on and I watched everybody doing their things, I got more confused and stressed out and not knowing what to do. And it was an explosion. It was what I refer to as Meredith on crack. She came in hot, people. She came in really hot. It was big. It was too much. It was too big. It was too whatever. And then on top of everything else, the instructors get into an argument, kind of like on The Voice, where they're arguing over a contestant, and they get into an argument amongst themselves. Meanwhile, I'm falling into a puddle of embarrassment and humiliation in front of a room full of people I was trying to impress.
They were unsure what to make of you, I think is the best way to put it.
Because I did Meredith on crack.
Yeah, they were unclear whether that was by design or not. Yeah.
It wasn't, Jay. It wasn't. It was bad. I was really nervous. And I don't even really get nervous. That was what was weird about it. Like, I speak for a living. This is what we do.
Hey, look, speaking in front of speakers is the hardest thing you'll ever do.
Yeah. So
I
anyway.
get super nervous when I speak in front of speakers.
That was horrible. So anyway, I am ready. Like, I finished. They're arguing. It's embarrassing. It's a disaster. I want to really cry, mostly just cry. I want to leave and not return.
I'd forgotten this story, but I'm really glad we're telling it.
And so on the break, I look over and make eye contact with Jay somehow. And I'm like, delivery aside, could we look at the content of what I was trying to talk about? And could we brainstorm if I've got anything here to work with or not? And you guys, he took me seriously. He did not, you were just a gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you.
And you were not too busy or too important or so much better than me or embarrassed by me and that performance to be of assistance in that moment. And literally, it was the only thing that got me through that particular day. You and Jeff Shore, actually. Jeff was awesome as well. Both of you propped me up, but it was a rough one.
You're very kind. It's nice of you to say. I'm only good at one thing, which is judging talent, and you've got it in spades. It doesn't surprise me how much you're crushing it, because I always knew that you weren't always on crack.
Yeah, well, when we don't do Meredith on crack, we do pretty well.
Yeah, that's it.
And we seem to have crossed that hurdle. Yeah, we seem to have gotten that out of our system, you guys, which is great. But the point is, a couple of things here as I bring this back and really make it about you is, one, who could you help today? Who are you more successful than in the industry or in your office or in your cubicle that you could not be too busy to give a kind word, atta girl, atta boy? Whose parachute could you pack? You know, we talked about that a couple of meetings ago. That's super important. And then number two is, anytime you think you're good, you're not as good as you think you are. And yeah, I had to get crushed.
I'm living proof of that.
Right? I had to get crushed like a bug at this particular event, but it was the best bug crushing that has ever happened to me, because it made me wake up and go, you don't need to try so hard. You don't need to do Meredith on crack. You need to let the guard down and just do what you do. And the growth trajectory since is like unbelievable. So what risk do you need to take today to put yourself out there? Maybe you'll get crushed like a bug, maybe you won't. My husband's favorite quote, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield, right? But the growth from it and the potential is always there for you. All right. I'll wrap us up today with probably my favorite Jay Baer quote of all, which is actually one that I believe you get from your dad that passed away, but it's your quote from your dad, which is, nothing's quite as good.
It's never going quite as good as you think it is, and it's never going quite as bad as you think it is.
Amen.
Good advice.
So you all are super successful. I am so proud of you. You're absolutely crushing it. Stay with us in Builder Town Hall Facebook group. Stay with us every meeting. Come together, get energized, because I promise you it's going not quite as well as you think it is and not quite as bad as you think it is either. So we got to stick together. All right. Thank you guys. And cheers.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. You guys are the
Bye,
best.
guys.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Felicia.
Bye.
And we're out.